VHS Files contains spoilers, adult content, and harsh language. Listener discretion is advised.
It's showtime. It's showtime.
Welcome to the VHS Files Podcast with Jenny Lou,
So what do you want to do tonight?
Jason,
What about pizza and movie night?
Eric,
I want to rent a movie.
and Josh.
I want to go to a good video store so I can get a good movie.
And this is the movie of the week.
Let's get this pizza movie night started.
Hello, welcome back to the VHS Files, where nobody puts Jenny in a corner. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing great. Doing great. It's flooding over here in Texas, dude. I need a pontoon. Somebody come rescue me. Somebody grab Marty McFly's life preserver and come help me. Dude, it's horrible over here, man.
All right. Well, one big thing happened this week. Movie theaters opened back up, and people were going to the movies. It's happening, people. Life's starting to go back to some sort of normalcy.
It's pretty exciting. Although the theater here has been open for quite some time.
You damn Floridians.
Yeah, you know.
Stay your ass at home.
The theaters here have probably been open, but we have not made any sort of effort to try and go to a movie in the last year. So don't even know what was going on here in Georgia. But now we're starting to get that itch because we were talking about. I think,
movies are coming out.
Yeah, I mean, like
in
Black
the theaters.
Widow will be out at the end of the month.
Yeah.
with a regularity.
You're all vaxxed up, ready to go. Hell yeah.
Black Widow
Live your
come
life.
out. Black Widow comes out in July, doesn't it?
Comes out at the end of the month, like Memorial Weekend.
I think it got moved to July.
Well, then I'm stupid. I don't know.
I think it did.
Yeah, that's how out of touch I am.
This is great radio.
I think it got moved. Everything gets moved. If you make plans to go see something, Hollywood goes, fuck you. We're going to move it another 2 weeks. Oh, wait, we're going to
I'm
move it
hoping
another
it's
2
been
months.
Numerous times. That
Right.
movie's
Which one?
Black Widow.
Oh, Black Widow has.
Been moved like, I don't know how many times at this point.
Shoot, Venom 2. Morbius is now next year, maybe.
I'm really hoping they keep Dune on HBO Max when it premieres, because I kind of would like to see that. But I feel like that would be a great one to go to the theater to see, though. I mean, Denis Villeneuve, you just want to see his stuff in the theater as much as you can, I guess. I mean, well, hell, my favorite movie of his we didn't see in the theater, so I guess that's not completely true, but...
What is that?
Enemy.
Oh.
With Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
If you have not seen that movie, it is a mind fuck, but it is amazing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Interesting.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and kick it into the
movie of the week.
The heat is in the music. The music sets you dancing. The dancing sets her free. Best Strong Pictures presents Dirty Dancing. She thought it would be just another summer vacation.
Who's that? Oh, them. They're the dance people.
But it turns out to be the time of her life.
I can't even do the merengue.
He teaches her what she can do.
I'm not sure who you are, but I don't want you to have anything to do with those people again.
Baby, I don't see you running up to Daddy telling him I'm your guy.
Will, with my father, it's complicated. I will tell him.
I don't believe you, baby.
She shows him all he can be.
You gotta stop it now.
I know what I'm doing, Penny.
I'm scared of everything. Most of all, I'm scared of walking out of this room and never feeling the rest of my whole life the way I feel when I'm with you.
What they learn from each other feels too good to be wrong. Dirty Dancing, starring Patrick Swayze, Jennifer Grey, and Cynthia
And this
Rhodes.
week, we spun the wheel of movies and came up with Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing.
I have the VHS tape in my hand. Jenny is happy. I am happy. Jason and Eric are probably not very happy, but Let's talk about it for a second.
Dude, I'm okay, dude. It's not a bad movie, man. It's not.
This is one of those movies that I was very anxious to talk about on the show because it has this, you know, especially with men, it's one of those like, oh, I don't want to watch Dirty Dancing. And like, this is a good fucking movie.
This is not a chick flick.
So
okay, I got one before we get into this for our listeners out there. All right, I've known Josh for a long time. When I met this guy, he had actually long blonde curly hair, covered in tattoos, was a burly motherfucker. And I got to know him, and one of the first movies he told me that he loved was Dirty Dancing. My eyes got the biggest saucers, and this is a guy who loves horror movies and action movies, and he says, but I really love Dirty Dancing.
You know why, though? Do you know why? It's all the grinding.
It's the grinding.
Yeah. It's the grinding. This
Dirty
man loves,
Dancing.
This man loves a dry grind.
Whoa. I don't need to know about your and Josh's exploits back in good old Florida before you moved.
Not with me. Not.
Oh,
you can find me on. You can find me on Grindr at Browning Bear 89.
Oh Lord.
Oh God.
Just joshing you. All right. Well, we'll talk about it, all of the stuff about this movie, but let's talk about the actual production a little bit. Directed by Emil Ordolino. I hope I'm saying that right. This is going to be another episode of me mispronouncing people's names. Previous work, nothing super notable, but he did go on to do Jason's favorite sequel, 3 Men and a Little Lady, and Eric's favorite movie about nuns, Sister Act.
That is my favorite movie about nuns.
Oh, I thought it was The Nun.
I have not seen that, actually.
I have.
I have. It's not a bad.
It's
nun
what you
movie.
think it is.
But Dirty Dancing was released August 12th in the United States. It was released, I believe, in July overseas. 1987. There's that year again. $5 million budget from Vestron Video, I believe. This was an independent movie at the time. But with a $5 million budget, did anybody, besides Jason, do their homework?
I can guess close.
He's
because I
Googling
read
it right
but
now.
I forgot. I'm not Googling it right now. I saw the worldwide gross was like 212, something like that.
The number I have is 214.6 million.
Yeah. That's a hell of a success, huh?
I'd have to say so.
I mean, holy shit.
If you were a kid in the 80s, if you were a young adult in the 80s, you know why. This movie left quite an impression on a whole lot of people in that generation and has moved on past that one at this point, I think I would say. We've covered 1987 quite a bit on this show. This was also released amongst the likes of a whole bunch of movies we've talked about already. Lost Boys, La Bamba, RoboCop, etc. So, Eric, let's see if you can scrounge up anything else from 1987.
We're sending you back.
Whoa, this is heavy.
Well, Josh, the Beatles released their music on CD for the first time in 1987. My dad has every Beatles album except for one. Honestly, I think he needs help. So think about that one. Okay. Vincent van Gogh's Sunflowers sells for $22.5 million. This sale was made a record by tripling the record prior for an auction painting. You guys know why auctioneers say going once, going twice?
No, Eric. Tell us.
Well, I'll tell you. It's just their morbid curiosity.
Jesus.
You know?
You're going to have to do better than that, buddy. You better have another one. You better close this out with a good one.
Yeah, that wasn't my best. Michael Jackson attempts to buy the remains of the Elephant Man. He's
I remember that from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Interestingly, I read that Michael Jackson's favorite lunch is a grilled cheese.
I don't think the Michael Jackson ones will ever get old, so there you go. You can finish. You're good. I forgive you.
Kind of a double dip. Kind of a double
dip.
Yeah. But it's still funny to me.
I don't remember the bad Michael Jackson jokes that we should not say on here.
No, we should not.
No, I'm not going there. The SN 1987A supernova became the first supernova observable by the naked eye since 1604, when the light from the exploding star 168,000 light years away, finally reached Earth. For listeners who don't know, a light year is the same as a regular year, just with less calories.
You had to go and mess it up.
Dude, he just totally...
Fewer calories would be probably grammatically more correct. And then finally, since we have a romantic movie this week, let's listen to a love song from 1987. Hit it, Josh.
Jason is gritting his teeth right now.
Not a Cure fan?
I hate The Cure.
To be fair, I did not get into The Cure until my 20s, I think. And I'm still not the hugest fan, but I will listen to The Cure when time allows.
I guess I'm kind of the same, Josh. I got into them late.
I'm sorry, Kate. I know our friend Kate, who listens on the regular, loves The Cure. Saw them last year before. She was very excited about it.
Just never been a fan of his voice. He's right up there with REM to me. But I don't know. Michael Stipe, I don't know.
Just not your thing.
Not my thing.
If they're not yelling and screaming about shotguns and metal stuff, Jason doesn't care.
No. Hey, dude, I love me some gun shit. We were just talking about this before the episode started, dude.
Well,
It's
let me ask you,
guys. We
Jason,
don't need to argue about it.
What do you think about the music in Dirty Dancing, the movie we're talking about tonight? We'll go ahead and start with you. Kick us off. When was your first viewing, and what did you think of this movie?
I didn't go to the theater. It was definitely a rental. My mom loved and still loves this freaking movie. That's why I've seen it so many damn times.
As I think probably
all of
our
us
moms did.
But along with that came the nice record that got spun pretty much every Sunday when we were cleaning the house. And we listened to it from beginning to end. So, but, I love the soundtrack. And of course, as you get older and you find these things in life like love and being smitten with someone that you want to just listen to these songs. But you know, the real kicker of all these years of listening to this, and I had this conversation with my mom a few months ago, because the one song, She's Like the Wind, my mom did not know Patrick Swayze sang that song.
He damn sure did.
And a lot of people did not. And I was like, he freaking rock, and he's great, dude. He had a great voice, and he could dance too. Obviously, we're going to talk about that. But no, I liked the movie as a kid. It's not like you and Jenny's love for it, but it was still a fun watch. And of
It's
course,
not a competition.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind curling up with my lady and watching it or whatever. It's a good movie to watch.
Well, I'm anxious to get. I mean, I'm gonna hold off on Jenny till last because I'm sure this is probably one you're gonna hear Jenny talk a lot in this episode. So I want to go to Eric, who had never seen this movie all the way through. Correct?
That is correct. I'll explain why now.
Okay.
Right now. Right now.
Well,
now.
Coming out again. So when I was a young boy, this movie came out. Right. I was 5. I guess.
When I was a young girl, it came out.
Okay. That was before your transition.
Yep.
That's fine. We support you. So my cousin, who was a teenager, she was older, and she was obsessed with this movie. And she probably had the single of The Time of My Life, which she played all the time.
Over and over.
Yes, and I got to the point where I hated the song, and I just projected that all over the film, and I just never watched the movie because. And then I got to be older, and it's like, I never watched that, and
right,
never got back around to it. I, of course, over the years have seen many clips and many pieces of it and things. It's been on TV and stuff like that. I've seen parts of it, but this was my first sit down, start to finish watch.
So just a real quick question about it. Did you have any idea of the concept of the movie other than the fact that it was a musical, dancey, girly sort of movie? Like, did you know about any of the subtext or anything that's going on within this movie, or was this something you discovered on this watch?
Honestly, not really. I mean, my only real understanding of it was was that I knew that he was teaching her to dance, and I was under the impression that the style of dancing they were doing was frowned upon, you know, by her parents and etc. and that kind of stuff. I didn't know it was at one of these lodges in the Catskills. I didn't know about all the abortion stuff. Like that came out of like I did not see that coming.
Wow.
Like, whoa, what? So yeah, I mean, there's a lot that I didn't know about it. It's kind of crazy going back, you know, just I think we all have movies like that in our you know, in our watching history. There's just something that slipped through the cracks, and this was one of them for me. So.
Well, I'm sure Jenny and I will probably have a lot of the same things to say. This is very relative to Jason's story. Saw it. My mom was a single mom until I was around 9 or 10 years old, and anything mom was watching, I was watching. Therefore, I have a nostalgia for it. There are some things she watched that didn't really rub off on me, and I can't really even think of them at this point. But the things I think that did were really good things, and I consider Dirty Dancing to be one of them. Even though at the time I had no idea what was going on in this movie, I was always drawn to movies about entertaining people or entertainment or like dancing. Like I always loved performing arts stuff, and I think that's why musicals and movies that are based around music numbers and stuff like that really kind of resonate with me. It's just because I'm all about performance art. Like that's what entertains me, and that's what I love to see, and that's what I love to do is watch and listen. And so this kind of fit right into that. And yeah, like the story was always second hand when it came to this movie. I just loved watching them dancing and all of that stuff on screen. So Jenny, take it away.
Take it away, Jenny.
For me, we did watch this as a family. Didn't see it in the theater, but on video multiple times. But I would say for me, my dad was the instigator of wanting to watch this movie.
Because of the music?
The music, and also my dad wanted to be a good dancer, like Patrick Swayze.
Okay.
But yes, the music, this is the kind of music that was listened to in my house.
So over the last 20 some odd years, I can safely say that I don't ever want to see your dad dance like Patrick Swayze, and I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
I second that.
That's fine. But my mom liked it too. I asked her the other day, how did you let me watch this movie? I said, you know, even after I was older and watched it, had the abortion revelation that I never realized was in the movie before, but even watching it this time, like, this movie is sex on a stick. Like, how? I mean, because I was oblivious, and she basically said, you had no idea what was going on. So,
well, they kind of dance, for lack of a better term, they kind of dance around the abortion stuff. They kind of speak in a little bit of code.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't ever come outright and say things, except for that one insane line, which we'll get to. But the descriptor, the dirty knife line, it's like, whoa,
I don't think the term abortion is ever used in the movie.
I don't believe it ever is. No.
Yeah, I mean, I remember vividly these scenes as a kid and watching them and being like, yeah, like that line about the dirty knife and a folding table. I was like, what the
what do you mean? What's it?
Mom, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
I know. It's like, Mom, what's wrong with her?
She's like, that could have been your future.
She's sick, you know?
Yeah,
that's
my
all
mom would tell me she was sick.
Yeah.
She had a tummy ache.
Right. Well, just give her some 7-Up and she'll be fine.
Did she make any saltines and chicken noodle soup? That ain't gonna help.
But you know, this movie is one that has stayed with me all these years, including on our wedding night. This was the last song that played at the reception was "Had the Time of My Life."
Which, you know, if we're being honest, is kind of cliche. But I don't care.
I don't care either. I just wanted to spin around in my wedding dress to this song.
What? Hey, I like it now. I like that song now.
I was there, witnessed it. They rocked it, people. It was great.
But what she's not telling you is when they introduced us as a couple for the very first time.
That song's not in this movie.
I don't care. It's awesome.
They introduced us to Welcome to the Jungle. Guns N' Roses. As soon as it kicks in, we came out. That was her gift to me for our wedding, was you get to have our intro music be Welcome to the Jungle.
Absolutely.
It was enough to make me happy, though. I was happy to have it. So
it's important to note that Welcome to Jungle came out in 1987 as well.
Bam!
It is very important to note. No, I'd like to know what it is about this movie that makes it still seem relevant these days. I think the fact that it is a period piece really helps it.
Hey, I didn't know it was a period piece. That's another thing I didn't know about this movie.
You thought it took place in the 80s?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he kind of looks like a greaser with the jacket and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. It never
It's set in 1963, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, they break that down at the very beginning for you. One, like, Jenny has already brought this up, but I also wrote this down in my notes. Like, there's a lot of ways I've viewed this movie over the years, watching it as a kid, growing into an adult watching it. But this time, and especially when you're watching it for a podcast and you're wanting to make sure you have things to comment about, this movie is absolutely like a allegory for a sexual awakening.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no question whatsoever. But like, and it does it in a very intriguing way for me. Like, I like it's the fact of a girl who's growing up. Like, this is the first time I've watched this movie and really saw Baby as kind of a young teenager, or, you know, young adult becoming an adult. Like, seeing it so young and knowing what's going to happen, watching it over and over throughout the years, like, you just kind of accept what it is. But really watching it and kind of, this is the first time I've really seen it that way. And you can actually physically see her transformation throughout this movie.
Oh, right. She's very childlike, I guess, in the beginning.
Right.
With her clothes and stuff like that, she kind of changes her look as it goes on. I mean, it's we always talk about how everyone's 30 in 80s movies, but Swayze was 34 in this, playing a 24-year-old, and she was actually 36.
No.
Yeah, it says
she was 20.
Gray was cast to play the fresh out of high school character. She was actually 2 years older than Johnny. Oh, 26.
Yeah.
So older than Johnny. Not older than Patrick.
Yeah.
God damn it. Delete that. Delete it. No.
And what's funny about that, because, you know, we always talk about these guys playing younger people. I read a tidbit about that because Patrick Swayze was trying to play a guy in his 20s. That majority of the movie, he wears a girdle because he was not happy with his body, what it looked like in clothes. He has his shirtless scenes, but if you can look at it, he's sucking it in a lot. But they said that he was, you know, trying to play a younger guy. He needed that physique. He did not have that physique, which he later in other movies that we see, he became Mr. Action Hero guy, so he had the physique. But I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, now through the movie, I'm watching it. I was like, so look, he's wearing a girdle under that shirt. I can't tell.
I think the fashion of the time helped him out a little there because everybody's wearing the high-waisted pants and all of that.
Yeah, that ballroom dancing look that he has kind of in the beginning when you see him. Yeah.
That helps.
So his huge beer gut.
That's what it was. It took me Budweiser's that winter that they were filming. Damn it.
Definitely wasn't the six-pack abs he had in Roadhouse a few years later.
Can we do that movie next?
I'm sure it'll pop up on our show at some point in time, but not right now.
Look at Jenny's face.
I've seen Roadhouse several times, thank you.
I don't think she holds that movie in as high a regards as Dirty Dancing.
No.
Man, I thought they were about even.
I like that when you first meet Johnny, you get that whole conversation where he's talking with the bus boys about playing up and getting their tips and all that stuff. But you automatically get from Kellerman that Johnny's got a reputation and he's this bad boy. And I kind of like his introduction to where he comes in through there and he's just like, he says whatever comment, like he's better than everybody else that he's talking to. But I like that Kellerman kind of lays that out for us, and he tells us, you know, you need to keep your hands off this year or whatever. So obviously he's been around with these ladies, and that's no secret to anybody.
Yeah.
Usually older, rich women.
Yeah. But I remember watching this as a kid and seeing Patrick Swayze, and I was like, that dude is a badass. Like, even with the dancing and all of that stuff, like, I don't know, like he seems to be the perfect fit for this character. I don't know if Billy Zane would have pulled off that character as well. Which was originally they were going after Billy Zane for that role.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, it was. Yeah, I guess it was supposed to be an Italian character.
Yeah.
And then
Baby was supposed to be Sarah Jessica Parker or Sharon Stone.
Sarah Jessica Parker could have worked.
I think she could have pulled it off.
I think she could have done maybe even better. Who knows?
Maybe.
Is that a little insight into later, Eric?
Maybe.
No, I mean, let's talk about our intro to all of our characters here. Like, I like Baby. They give us a really good, you know, we're on her side from the get-go. I like her parents. You got Jerry Orbach, someone who's part of one of your favorite TV shows, Kelly Bishop.
Mm-hmm. Looking like a snack in this movie.
Yeah.
Just, woo.
That scene at the end where she's dancing with Neil.
Yeah.
Dude,
Miss
Miss Hausman, she's good. She's pretty hot.
Well, also Jerry Orbach, like, let's not skip over the fact that he's like OG Law and Order. So
yeah,
don't, you know, also one of my all-time favorite.
Oh, dude, he was awesome in Law and Order. Many episodes watched of him. Loved him.
Yeah, and I guess I mean, I didn't really know this, but these lodges and stuff in like the Catskills were very popular at that time, and they were very popular with the Jewish American people would go on trips, and they actually called the network of resorts the Borscht Belt. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But we have what I assume is a Jewish family here, right?
Not sure.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's what they were kind of portrayed as. I mean, the Hausman doesn't sound like a Jewish name, but I get it. I kind of get that feeling.
Yeah. But I mean, the lodge is certainly an interesting location to
yeah, the idea of spending a summer or like a long period of time like that somewhere for the summer is something I always saw people doing in movies, but throughout my life have never like, we're going to go spend the summer somewhere. Like, that was definitely something that was like, these people are rich.
Money.
Oh,
yeah. Well, that's another big theme in this movie, right? Is
money.
Class, you know, class differences and that kind of stuff. And it's kind of one of the things I don't like about the movie. Not the concept of it, but just maybe the execution. I think it's just a little too clunky with some of the like speeches that Johnny gives and things like that about how he's so mistreated as a, you know, working class person. And
right,
it definitely illustrates the difference when they're at this place. You've got the workers and the people who are staying there, what do you call them? The guests.
Yeah. And you even have different classes of staff.
Right.
You have the entertainers who were like Penny and Johnny, and then Billy and all those guys, and then you get up to Robbie and Neil and that.
Well, you've got all the you've got all the Ivy League guys that are working there for the summer.
Yeah.
It's like Saved by the Bell, the summer.
Yeah, that's
where they're all at the beach resort.
It is. Saved by the Bell summer vacation, whatever. They all go
I always thought that was the coolest season or whatever they did there, because it was like, oh, these kids I've been watching in school are growing up, and
and Leah Remini in there.
Yeah, this is the first time I'd ever seen her, and I remember thinking she was pretty cute.
Oh yeah,
back on Saved by the Bell days. But it was also weird because he had a thing for her, and it was like, no, Zach and Kelly, like, what's going on here?
Something's wrong with this. But all right, let me ask you about we meet all of the people. We get to the resort, and you you think Mr. Kellerman, he's I guess they're the owner of the Kellerman Resort. Is that what it's called? Or something like that?
Well, I don't know what the resort's name
called
is.
something else.
Yeah,
It's called Kellerman.
Yes,
Kellerman's.
Kellerman's.
Well, yeah.
There's K's everywhere. Yeah. And
hence the song at the
Yes.
end.
yeah. And
And those K's look like the Kellogg's K. I just want to point that out. The K's like on the drum, like the band and everything. Looks like the Kellogg's K. Moving on.
But we get where they meet them and we see Penny and Johnny. They're doing their little dance, whatever that. But the part I kind of irked me because you think Kellerman's this guy. He's running this nice resort. Is when Baby walks up and she sees and hears him talking to the waiters.
Yeah.
Remember, you're here for their daughters. You do this. You do blah blah blah. And he says, and he goes, even the dogs. And I was like, I instantly hate you.
Okay, well, since we're talking about all these people, I want to talk about Neil, Mr. Dick Nose.
Oh yeah. Mr.
I hate
Kellerman's
this
grandson?
kid.
Oh yeah.
This kid's a piece of garbage.
He's not great.
And it's funny watching it over the years, and like you really think that he's this sophisticated young man and all of that. Watching it this time, I was like, "Fuck this kid!"
Yeah.
Like he is so pretentious, and like I just every scene he's in, I just want to like kick him. I don't like the kid.
But Baby knows it right away.
Yeah,
she knows.
Sees right through his bullshit.
What kind of guy he is.
Well,
she's not falling for it like her sister falls for
Robbie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we learned before all this that Baby wants to go into the
Peace Corps.
Peace Corps, and
Help
like she
people.
wants to help the world, but she's naive.
Yes.
At this point, and she learns a lot in this 3-week vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a lot of drama in this 3-week vacation. My God.
Right.
That's how summer vacation
A lot goes
man.
on in 3 weeks here.
I want to touch on something later, but there's a couple of storylines that go on within this movie that I'm like, did we really need that? Like, we could have cut that out of this movie, but we'll get to that
The
later.
guy, Kellerman, says 3 weeks here, it'll feel like a year.
Yeah.
So they even call it out. They're like, yeah, a lot happens very quickly in this place.
But I like that Baby is she's trustworthy to her parents, so therefore she can just go roam around this resort and kind of do as she pleases. Like they know they can trust her and all that. So, and that's how we end up seeing her meet the staff of this place. One of the most notable things about this movie is some of the quotes that are within it. We're going to get to a lot of those later. But there's a specific thing that happens when she meets, what is Johnny's cousin's name? I didn't write it down. Billy.
I think it's Billy.
When she meets up with Billy and he agrees to take her to the lowly employees
The
get
staff
to go
hangs out, yeah.
hang
Well,
out.
the lower level staff, not the waiter staff.
Right.
The other staff.
The equivalent of walking into an orgy. Like,
yeah, basically.
I mean, so for me watching this movie, like my face watching this movie is Baby's face watching Johnny
yeah.
and Lisa dance.
You mean Penny?
Penny dance. You said
Name
Lisa.
is-
Oh, that's her sister.
Jenny?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Have you seen this movie, Jenny?
I've seen this movie. Sorry. Penny. My face is her face watching them dance.
Yeah.
And it starts in the ballroom with the very formal dance that is also very sexy. But then when she walks in and she sees everybody
Yeah.
grinding and whew, and her face, like,
Yeah. She instantly looks like someone who's never seen anything like this before.
yes.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of bump and grind.
Totally a fish out of water.
Country version over here.
Yeah.
So you say like this movie has like a sexual awakening.
Dude, this movie fucks. I mean,
It does. And
I'm Baby, and this is my fantasy.
well, I think that's why this movie clicked
Yes.
with
Yeah.
so many girls, particularly like girls Baby's age or around that age. Yeah, I mean it's just like, oh shit,
Yeah, because she's what, 18? She portrays 18, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I thought, yeah.
That was one kind of moral dilemma. I was watching this movie this time, and I was like, she's 18, right? She's not like 17, because like that's statutory rape, and like,
Not back in 1963. You know, you got
That's
married
right.
at
It was
15
the 60s.
back then.
Yeah. Yep.
One thing about this scene that always got me was the idea of Johnny and Penny dancing together, and like realizing that they're not a couple. And I was like, whoa, like the prospect of them dancing together like that and they're not romantically involved, like blew my mind as a kid. I was like, wait, they're not mommy and daddy? Like I didn't understand what was going on there.
Dude, when he picks her up, dude, and she's like picking up her skirt up and it's right in his face, you're like,
yeah,
wouldn't people who date do that? No, we're just dancing. Okay.
Yeah.
What about the part where Johnny walks over and grabs her to dance?
Dude, just no, like seriously, every like fantasy about the cool guy picking you who is not cool over everybody else, and I mean,
it's the way he looks at her and does that come here, like
yeah.
waves her over with his finger and the smile on his face and everything. It's like, yeah, I would have danced with him too. Like,
you know what I was thinking about watching this was, there's a lot of movies where there's some really popular girl and kind of a nerdy guy, and this way it's the other way around. You've got a girl and a super cool guy,
yeah,
and she's kind of pining over him and ends up being with him. Another example of that would be Grease, which is interesting because he played, who's the lead in Grease? What's his name?
John Travolta.
John Travolta,
the character.
Danny Zuko.
Yeah, Swayze played Danny Zuko on
Broadway. I did not
think
know
before
that.
this, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
Grease is another movie I love.
Yeah. I'm also kind of thinking, since after watching this, I realized that Swayze brought a little bit of his character from The Outsiders to this too.
Yeah,
because the whole greaser thing in The Outsiders, he kind of just like, hey, I already kind of played this character once. Now I just got to learn how to dance and still be a badass greaser kid.
Right.
So,
well, he was a dancer before he was an actor.
Mm-hmm.
But back to where I want to know about the thing with Jenny, because the part he pulls her out on the floor and she's teaching, but I mean he goes straight to just grinding on her. And, and teaching her, and he
doesn't take long for him to start grinding.
Into the room, shaking his pelvis at everybody. So, I mean, he's there to show off for sure.
My favorite part of this scene is the end of the dance when they're finally like hitting a groove together, and he spins her that last spin at the end of the song, and she's still lost in La La Land, and he disappears, and it's like. That scene is just like, that motherfucker is cool, like.
Yeah, it's like on Seinfeld when Costanza tells a joke, and if a joke hits, he gets up and leaves. It's like that. It's like, I got her, and then I'm just gonna vanish.
I do want to talk about something that's not very good in this scene. Is when Johnny notices that Billy's talking to Baby, and he starts working his way over to her. That little like. He holds his arms up and swings his hips into Billy is terrible. Why
is it terrible?
Like you can tell he did it just to get Billy's attention, and it looks so bad. Like it just I don't know. Like it's terrible. Like I hate the way that scene plays out.
He just like giving him a little dance move to like catch his eye.
No, but he just purposefully does it. It's the way he like purposely knocks into Billy. It just looks so fake and gross to me. I don't know. Like
it's like, Billy, don't even talk to this girl, Billy. Don't even bother.
I think it would have been better if he just would have walked up behind him and slapped Billy in the back of the head. Hey, who's this?
Yeah.
But
punched him in the gut.
But I also want to give props to Billy, because I don't know how that dude didn't drop those watermelons coming in that door.
Dude, there's a big ass damn watermelons, dude.
Like. The most impressive thing is not the dancing in this scene. It's the fact that dude did not drop one of those watermelons when he knocked that door open.
Yeah, I thought a watermelon was going down for sure.
Yeah.
And he had to walk up that hill, too. Those stairs.
Right.
Dude, awesome. Billy's the man.
I like that hill plays... It's almost like a character in the movie, because there's certain parts later with the montage where she's dancing up and down that... Cool.
I do like the location, like all the landscape stuff, by the lake with her dad, and some of the other, like, it's really beautiful location out there, which I guess was in Virginia, not in New York.
Right.
But
I want to talk about a couple little side plots here. One of the big side plots is the abortion stuff, which runs through.
I feel like that's central.
Well,
not
it's
a side plot, but
well, the central story is just Baby and Johnny, in my opinion, and then the abortion kind of gets that going. But there are a couple of side stories. There's Robbie, who is part of the abortion story, but kind of is his own little thing. And then you've got the Schumachers, this little old couple that you see throughout the movie, and then later
you find out
they've been ripping people off at the resort.
At multiple resorts.
Did we really need to make two little old people crooks in this movie?
Well, that's the thing. You never would have suspected them.
I get that. But it's one of those things where it's like, this movie could have been 10 minutes shorter. We could have reworked that little spot, because it doesn't really serve a purpose, in my opinion.
It does serve a purpose.
its purpose is to
the
make
whole purpose
Johnny
is,
look bad.
Yeah, at the end of the
no,
movie.
no, but then it's to exonerate him because they're really the thieves.
Yes, I understand that.
But you have to have that.
Yes, and here's my theory, or here's my counter offer.
Okay.
Robbie is a piece of shit in this movie. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
Neil is a dick nose. Robbie is a piece of shit.
Okay. Yes.
You see, he's playing this Two-Face throughout the entire movie. Let's make Robbie the guy. I mean, like, we already hate Robbie. So let's make it to where he's trying to get this, he gets the letter from Baby's dad, the letter of recommendation for medical school.
He doesn't.
Well, he doesn't in the end, but he gets one, or that's one of his angles, I think, with Lisa. Mm-hmm. And then, like, I feel like you could have worked it into where Robbie was just this terrible guy who was doing anything he could do to get into medical school, and it would have been a lot more interesting to find out that Robbie was the one sabotaging Johnny this whole time.
Right. I mean, it's the difference between making Robbie the true villain of the film and making just the class issue the antagonist.
Right.
There's no real true antagonist in this film. It's really more like how people see Johnny.
Right. It's
like, for instance,
divide,
you could drop the wallet, old people stealing the wallets, and you could that wife that saw them, she was the one that did that, right? She saw
yeah. Vivian.
So
Preston.
she could have just said, "Oh, Johnny came on to me, and and I didn't want him to. Like, he was too, you know what I mean? Like, he was." She could have just lied, or you didn't need.
Well,
to
that was even there
have,
too. Like, when Johnny isn't fulfilling her needs, she goes to Robbie. Like, the perfect groundwork for that was there. I just feel like the old couple stealing the money, while it is people that they would never suspect, I feel like you could have worked it a little differently. Because I don't know, like, I don't really like the idea of these two old people stealing money from people. But that's just me. I just,
You're talking about side plots, but you're missing, like, one of the most important ones, which
Is it trying on wigs?
Yes.
Yes.
Which really resonated with me this time is Baby's relationship with her father.
Definitely.
I always thought that was always a big part of it.
Yeah. It just hit me differently this time, I think.
He's so quick to brush her off. Like...
Yeah, but Baby lies to her dad. She breaks that trust over, people she doesn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that she's
smitten.
Yes, but she also wants to help people. That's like her calling in life is to be a helper. And when he is so disappointed with her, it's because of breaking the trust, not because of what his money paid for.
Right.
It's just...
Again, she's naive. She didn't know what the money was for.
I think she knew what the money was for.
You think she knew what the money was for?
Yes.
She said she's going to see a doctor. She needs some money to see a doctor. You think that
she knows she's
Baby
pregnant.
understood that was for a black market abortion?
Yes. I
That's
do.
not
think
how I
she-
read it, but you've
I
seen the
do
movie
think
more than
she
me,
knew.
so I think I feel like she even says like I didn't know.
It's implied that she knows because when her dad asks her if it's illegal, she hesitates.
She goes, "No,
and
Daddy."
then she goes, "No, Daddy." She knows.
She does the no daddy bats her
Interesting.
eyes. No daddy, I need the money.
Which, and while we're on the subject, I mean, this movie is the perfect depiction of why abortion is and should remain legal.
I agree.
Because this is what has happened and would happen if women do not have access to this service.
Well, this movie is, for all intents and purposes, like a movie about abortion.
Yeah.
It's central to the entire plot of the film, and you know, I agree with you, Jenny, that it illustrates the problem with, you know,
We're on this
that
topic.
stuff.
I just
a
wanted to
botched
ask.
abortion in the middle of this movie was not what I was expecting at all.
Yeah.
No, I think it's like $250, you know, is what she asked her dad for. But you think about it, you know, as when we're older watching this and it's a timepiece, you know, none of us were alive in 1963. $250 was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Back in 1963.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, was it when the 64 Mustang come out? You could buy it for $2,500. So $250 is a lot of damn money. So I mean, because he even says it, well, that's a lot of money, but he still writes her a check, trusting her.
Yeah, I mean, that's just stupid. If your kid asks you for, I mean, even today,
Yeah,
for
what's
$250,
inflation? What's inflation on that for today?
and you know, won't tell you what it's for.
Yeah,
come on.
That's
now.
probably like the equivalent of like $5,000 today. Hey, I need a check for $5,000.
Dr. Houseman's got his head way up his ass if he thinks that his daughter's perfect, but
He also has enough money
he's
to be able to escape for a 3-week vacation.
Oh, yeah, he's got
and
plenty
still
of money.
have however much money, the equivalent of, to just give his daughter no matter what.
He's definitely a doctor that's known. I mean, he saved Mr. Kellerman's life. That's why they're there. He says that at the beginning of the movie. If it wasn't for this man, you know, so
I'd
he's
be
definitely
standing here dead.
Yeah. But I like how, you know, Baby does this. She's helping a friend, but then she offers to help Penny out because Penny has to go to a doctor's visit the same day they're doing the Mambo?
Yeah.
Or is it the Mama or the Moringa? I can't remember which one at this other hotel. So this is where we get Johnny and Baby going to do this together and learning how to dance.
This is one of, like, if you were to rank 80s montages, which would be a good top 4 episode, by the way, this is a great 80s montage.
So great.
And I found out that Patrick Swayze, who knew how to dance, Jennifer Grey, who did not, there's actual frustration on screen there with him trying to teach her, and her, like, the famous scene where he's running his hand down her arm through her armpit and she kept laughing.
That's real.
He was really getting frustrated because she could not get the take. She kept laughing, and like the frustration on Patrick Swayze's face is for real.
Yeah, I read about that too, and apparently they didn't get along very well in Red Dawn either.
Yeah, I think she didn't want to do it, or he didn't, because they were in Red Dawn together. No, she didn't want to. Said he was a pain in the ass to work with on Red Dawn.
Yeah, and you know, I think that stuff does show through in the performance. Like you say, it's exactly what's actually happening. He knows what he's doing, she doesn't, and he's trying to get her.
It makes this feel very genuine.
Yeah, and it makes it surprising that they have, you know, such good chemistry when they do finally get the take. You know, in some of these scenes, they really do. I mean, they nail it. You know.
Well, Jason, since we were younger boys watching this movie, I want to talk about the scene during the montage where Baby and Penny are dancing together.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of those scenes for me as a young boy that had me feeling something and below my belt.
I was either going to go with that one or when they're in the lake and it's a little nipply outside.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad y'all had the one scene because this whole movie.
You get Patrick Swayze the whole damn movie,
but yeah, I mean, like the sexual tension in this movie is just palpable. It's just like almost constant, you know.
Yeah, I really like the one where he's twirling her, and he keeps pointing at his eyes every time she comes around to lock eyes with him. Like, yeah, it's such a good play on exactly what they're going through at that time. I remember being so like, the lift was such a big deal in this dance. And when she doesn't do it in the performance, it was like kind of one of those things as a kid, you're like, "Aw." And I remember asking my mom, I vividly like asking my mom, because she had seen it and we were watching it on TV. I was like, "Does she ever do the lift?" Like, I was invested on whether or not they actually got a scene where she would get to do the lift. And this was my mom's, like, you're watching a movie with somebody and they're being annoying and asking you what's going to happen sort of thing. Every time I'd watch a movie with my mom, I'd be like, is she going to get the lift? My mom would go, "You just have to watch and see."
Well,
yeah, I definitely had to say that to my kids.
Well, before we get to the actual performance, there's another question that I have for Jenny. I wrote these down through this thing because I know Jenny loved this movie, so I actually have
notations for Jenny.
Yeah, notations.
I have a question for Jenny too, but go ahead.
But, we get to the part where he's teaching her to dance and he's trying to get her to the beat, the heartbeat. And, he grabs her hand, puts it on his chest, feel the beat, and you can just kind of see her like, "Oh my God, I'm touching Patrick Swayze's chest, or Johnny's chest."
That's when Hungry Eyes fades in. Like, that is the perfect fucking music cue for
I was
that
like,
scene.
I wanted Jenny's perspective of that whole area right there.
I mean, it's my perspective on the whole movie. I mean, it's just sex.
Yeah.
This
movie fucks.
It's phenomenal. Like,
oh my God, Josh used to use that term. Oh my God. This movie fucks.
I mean, the side arm scene is just...
Side arm? What are you talking about?
Where he's like brushing down her side.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Just, oh God.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask my question. In the past, Jenny has been quite critical of lovemaking in movies. How do you feel about? Do you think that that Baby was satisfied?
I think Baby's satisfied. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, before we get into this deep conversation, we've talked about famous people. Let's talk about some people that weren't so famous.
Almost famous.
I know that, dude.
I don't know them.
I know her.
Haven't you ever heard of that guy? What's his name?
That guy who was in that movie that was out last year.
I'm sort of famous for being almost famous.
I'm going with the Jurassic Park Seinfeld guy.
I have him down.
Wayne Knight. Wayne Knight was also mine. This was his first big movie. It's kind of the perfect. It's what this segment is made for.
I mean, if you
literally unknown, and then from there, it leapfrogged him into getting Newman. The rest is history.
He's still the same character, even all these years later, I think.
Dude, yeah, he's the same character in Jurassic Park. He's the same character in Space Jam. Dude,
I forgot he was in Space Jam.
Yeah, dude, he's there with Michael Jordan. He's Michael Jordan's assistant. Remember, he's following him around everywhere. But
I'm trying to not remember that movie as much as I can.
Come on, man. We all liked it when we were kids.
He's in your favorite movie, Jurassic Park.
Let's not talk about that right now.
But he was in Basic Instinct. Dude. And he was in...
Yeah, he was. Yes, he was.
And he was in your favorite Punisher movie. I think he was in Warzone. Punisher Warzone.
I saw it once.
He was Frank Castle in that, wasn't he?
I want to see the movie where Wayne Knight plays the Punisher. I would pay $12.50 for that.
He kills him with that annoying laugh that he does. That's all it is. But the other one...
Did anybody have anybody else?
I had Dr. Houseman, Jerry Orbach.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jerry Orbach, but I thought maybe Too Famous from...
Too Famous.
Well, but see, I have a different level of famous. He's not an A-lister. He is a TV.
He's not a household name,
TV A-lister. He is not
Jerry Orbach is a household name.
No, I didn't even know his name. No, that's what I said. He's a TV A-lister, not a big-time Hollywood A-lister. He's not Brad Pitt. He's not Johnny Depp. But
I was also gonna say Kelly Bishop.
Kelly Bishop was? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of John Travolta's wife, Kelly
Preston.
Kelly Preston.
I'm sorry.
I could have that too. I had her down. That's really about it.
I actually wrote down Jennifer Grey because I mean she was in two big movies in the 80s, one semi-big movie in the 80s, but after this, she really didn't do a whole lot.
It's all that plastic surgery had to fix her nose, and she made it worse. I thought.
I actually said to Jenny when we were watching this, I was like, I don't know. I know people have their reasons for doing what they do. It's all about, feeling good about yourself. But I thought she looks great in this movie.
She looks good. Yeah. I don't understand.
I think it's the same thing with Renee Zellweger. I was like, that doesn't even look like the same person anymore. Because she had work.
That's a sticking point for me as well. I'm always complaining about the plastic surgery.
They both look great the way they were.
Particularly for actresses, it's like you're ruining your ability to emote, and you look different. So I don't even recognize you, and I'm even more irritated when you have somebody who clearly has modern day plastic surgery and they're trying to play it in a period piece, like Nicole Kidman going to play Lucille Ball, and it's like I don't recall them having this level of plastic surgery back then.
Right.
It's stupid. Anyway.
But I would also beg to argue that, I think people would recognize Wayne Knight out of this movie more than they would Jennifer Grey.
But would they know his name? The point of this whole...
You don't know
Let me explain this segment to you.
I have it written down right there. I know his name.
You didn't know his name before you looked it up and wrote it down.
The segment is for people the segment is for people that are well known, recognizable, but they're not household names. Jennifer Grey, I guess you could say that, but she hasn't really done much else. I don't know.
I think most people would see Jennifer Grey and say, that's the girl from Dirty Dancing. And that's probably where everybody would leave it. Wayne Knight, you have a couple options there. It's the guy from Jurassic Park. No, it's the guy from Seinfeld. No, it's the guy from Third Rock from the Sun.
Space Jam.
Space Jam.
Space Jam.
So, I had written Wayne Knight's character name down. Well, not even his character name. I literally wrote down Jurassic Park Seinfeld guy.
It's Stan.
And
character name.
But I think Jennifer Grey is probably less famous than he is at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Josh has some logic there. Very true.
Well, do we have any recast for Dirty Dancing? Does anybody have any fun with this week? I had a little trouble.
Dude, this was a hard one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Well, I was trying to recast Johnny, and Patrick Swayze. And I was trying to think of who could dance. You know what I mean? Who could pull off the moves?
Okay,
Mario Lopez.
I think you're gonna go with dude. I think you're gonna say the same name. I really do.
Well, I was thinking Jack Black.
Oh my god!
Dude, he definitely.
That man can dance. He's graceful. He can move. He can do anything.
I love him.
Swayze. If you've seen his TikTok videos as of late, you can see what that man's doing. He is limber.
He is nimble.
Jason? Well, no, I'll go ahead and throw one out there. Since this is a, Johnny, Penny, baby sort of thing, might be fun to have Brad Pitt as Johnny, Angelina Jolie as Penny.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And maybe Jennifer Aniston as baby. And get that little love triangle going on there and see how that plays out. No? Okay. I figured I'd at least throw it out there.
Pre-nose job, Jennifer Aniston?
Pre-nose job, Angelina Jolie?
All pre-nose jobs for everybody.
We love everybody however they love themselves.
Yeah. Pre-Angelina Jolie, get that woman a 2-piece and a biscuit.
So Jenny has nothing because this movie is perfect for Jenny.
I'm waiting to see what Jason says.
All right, Jason, you better not disappoint this week.
I went with Johnny as Zac Efron.
That's what I was gonna say.
I was gonna say Channing Tatum.
I think he's too old. But he got skills. The boy got skills. Baby, because I like to change up. And I'm gonna say her name wrong because it's a one-word name. And Zendaya, yeah, from Spider-Man, because they were in that movie with Hugh Jackman where they did the dancing and all that stuff like that. What's the name of the movie? Because Zac Efron was in it too.
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman. So I see that, but then I was like, well, if you have to have a mom and dad, where the guy can be kind of a stern character, kind of forceful Dr. Houseman would be Josh Brolin. And
that's a good one.
Miss Houseman would be, because, you know, she's a mixed ethnicity, Zoe Saldana as the mom.
Zoe Saldana?
Saldana. I see that two of them, and they have her. And then
yeah,
Penny would be
lots of Marvel people happening here.
Well, I was kind of going with the Disney type thing here, but then
it's kind of hard to pick actors that haven't been in Marvel movies at this point.
Penny would being who she is and a dancer, and kind of I threw it out there really weird, but I went with Sophia Turner, the redhead. Sophie Turner. Is that Sophia?
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones chick. Because she could be a little
Okay.
stern and kind of, you know, because Penny's kind of that way. She's kind of a strong lady type thing, but. And then I threw in there from because out of all the people, I went, who will we recast as Miss Vivian, the cougar, trying to steal Johnny away? And I went with Jenny's favorite actress, Megan Fox.
Oh God.
Oh wow.
Actually, I hadn't thought of that, but Megan Mullally. Mullally.
We are butchering everybody's name on this show. That's
I know what
we
everybody's
do.
name is.
She would be a good cougar for sure.
For sure.
But
hi, Ron.
For sure.
But that's who I had. I think they're Zach and what's her name. I thought they had great chemistry in that movie. When I watched it, I was like, ooh, they both can dance. They got talent. This would work great here. And then her parents being this, and then a mixed family and everything like that. I think it would work good.
I like that you brought up Zendaya, though. Like, I think that girl is a force to be reckoned with in Hollywood.
Great
right now.
actress. That's why I liked her, and I liked them in that movie together. I thought they would work good for this too.
What was the movie she did with John David Washington on Netflix? I can't remember what the name of it was, but we watched it, and she is fantastic in that movie.
So, what did you have, Jenny? Is that what you had, Zac Efron?
When Eric was talking about like
that's who I thought he was going to say.
I was like Zac Efron. Just popped into my
That's
head.
exactly who I was going with immediately, and I said Eric's going to say Zac Efron, but he threw me off with Jack Black. So, but I could see that.
I just keep imagining Jack Black as Johnny now. It's kind of reminiscent of Chris Farley doing the Chippendale thing with Patrick Swayze. Aww. That kind of made me sad a little bit.
That's it. Johnny and Baby are recast as Tenacious D. Done. And they do the lift at the end.
and it's Dirty Dancing, but a lot more vulgar.
There we go. It's dirty dancing.
I remember that being a big thing when this movie came out about the dancing in it, and I remember like a news interview they did with like the filmmakers or something where they're talking about the dancing in it isn't, you know, like, I guess there was this mass confusion about it being like sort of borderline porno sort of because of the title of the movie and the stuff that they hid in it, but I always thought that was kind of weird. I still, again, didn't really know what they were talking about, but
yeah,
no,
for
it's
all the
not.
grinding. There's a lot worse dancing out there.
Yeah, and then you've got the classic dances they do throughout it, like the merengue they do at the show.
Right.
She foobars the lift, and what do we think about the way she corrects it when she does the thumb thing?
I love it.
It's pretty brutal.
It's so cringy, but it's exactly what she would do.
Yeah.
She should have just done the hand jive. Yeah.
Born to hand jive, baby.
Just put the two movies together.
But you can tell, like, when Johnny and Baby are coming back from the show.
Oh, he eyeballing her.
Like,
that he's had a change of heart about her.
Yeah, that there's now something there, and they're holding hands, and then, you know, all hell breaks loose. But
yeah, and he tries to make her feel better about her performance too, which so far he's been pretty critical, but
which she learns in a week.
Yeah, is insane. I mean, we all know from watching Dancing with the Stars that it's a lot harder than it looks.
What the hell are you talking about? Johnny is a top-notch teacher, dude. He can teach anybody how to do that in like 5 days. Man, you give it up.
He's also sneaking little glances at her in the mirror in the car,
dude,
too.
he's watching her when he's like, keep your eyes on the road.
But we've already seen her kind of start this metamorphosis. I like the scene of her dancing up those stairs to the cabin or whatever, and she's putting on the makeup. Like, you can see her like really getting into all this
montage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's funny you said that. That's how I have it wrote in my notes. Wipeout montage.
Yep.
But yeah, here's where they bring up that line Eric brought up earlier, and this is where we find out there was a botched abortion with Penny.
What he actually says is this. He says, the guy had a dirty knife and a folding table. I could hear her screaming from the hallway.
And he tried to break in.
Pretty gnarly. I mean, that's pretty gnarly to be sitting in the middle of our little cutesy 80s dance movie.
And the actor's performance, Billy, the guy who plays Billy, like, his performance of telling Johnny all of this is very convincing.
Yeah, I mean, Billy's almost a major character through this thing because he shows up for everything. He's there through the whole movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and then her dad, she goes, runs and gets her dad because she knows something bad's happening. She just knows that people need help. She sees blood on the bed and gets her dad to come, and the dad takes care of it. But I like how he says, who's responsible for her? And he says, I am. And he automatically thinks that, well, this was your baby, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But
and they don't tell him.
Right.
He has to find out naturally, which is kind of annoying. But, they could have told him multiple times throughout this that, no, it's not his baby. But
and at this point would have been the perfect time because she hasn't slept with Johnny at this point. Like, this would have been the perfect moment to kind of clue anybody into the situation, but they let it go.
Well, this is what I talk about with, like, the kind of, the social commentary stuff. It's not as nuanced as it could be. I know we're not in that kind of movie, but there's just some. It's like, yeah, it pulls me out of the movie when I'm asking myself, why are you withholding this information?
Yeah.
And the only reason is because they want them to assume something about this guy because of the way he looks or because of his job or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's, it doesn't flow with the story. It's kind of there because they want it to be there. You know what I'm saying?
It has to be in there. It's Hollywood. You got to have that, some kind of drama building.
No,
through the
it's
whole
an
thing.
excuse, Jason. I don't want to hear it.
But the thing is they even do that to Johnny. Baby does it to him earlier when she finds out that Penny's pregnant and looks at Johnny and thinks that, oh, it's your baby.
Yeah.
Baby does the same thing her dad
they're
does.
always together. It's
Yeah.
She's known them for a day, But
well, again, like, my perception of them watching this movie as a kid was they were a couple. It's easy to see that, and I wonder what it is. Like, do you think it's just that Johnny feels responsible for Penny? Because it seems like she could hold her own.
Well, she said that they've known each other since kids. They've known each other since they were children, so they're probably like grew up together. So he does feel responsible for her, like as a
Well,
like
I don't know how well she was doing, Josh. I mean, she was like crying in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's why I kind of stopped saying what I was saying because I'm thinking about it as it's coming out of my mouth.
Well,
but
hey, she's still a strong woman, dude. But she's having obviously some pregnancy problems, and she might be in some utter pain. And I don't care how strong of a person you are. That's why she's hurting. But I still think she's a strong woman. It's just that she was in obviously pain and needed help at that.
Let me clarify, Jason. I was not suggesting that she's not a strong woman.
No, that's what you were.
She needed help, and we all need help sometimes. But I just want to say, as a father with a teenage daughter, I can only imagine what's going through Dr. Hausman's head when he finds out his daughter borrowed money from him to pay for an abortion from like a black market abortion, and now he's like got this girl who's potentially dying or whatever that he's got to take care of, and he just like meets all these people all at once. Like, holy crap, you can't blame him for being upset about that.
Right. There's actually two key pieces of information that are not told at certain points in this movie that bother me. That's one of them. But I can get on board with why they didn't indulge that information. But we find out that Robbie, who is seeing baby's sister at this resort, they're getting close. We find out Robbie's the one who got Penny pregnant, and he's not willing to do anything to help. And there is a key moment later where Lisa says that she's going to go all the way with this guy. Baby has all this information on him, and yet does not say anything to her. Now, she's
trying
the big
to.
sister. The big sister doesn't want to hear it. Again, but I feel like it was one of those sort of things where it's like, hey, I know this guy that you're gonna go do this with tonight, and you don't need to do this. And here's
She
why.
wouldn't have believed her, I don't think.
Young love sort of thing. Yeah, that's the one that bothers me more than the abortion stuff. Is like, I would have been like clawing at my sister to tell her that this guy is a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's gonna. I agree. She could have told her sister, and then also when Johnny goes to see the dad, you know, he at the house, and he doesn't say anything. He just walks away, and it's like, well, that would have been a good time to say, no, that's not even my kid, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just trying to help her. Like, it's just communication, man. Just communicate with each other. I like when characters communicate. I don't like when it's a writing thing that bugs me when information is withheld. They do it a lot in television, you know. I remember hating it. I loved Lost, but Lost was like such a big offender there because there was, if characters would just sit down for 5 minutes and tell each other everything that they know, everyone knows something different, and there's all these misunderstandings, and it just drives me crazy.
The part right here, this is some of my problem, which we'll get to at the end of the movie, is after all this goes down, baby goes to his little shack to talk to him, you know, and calm him down and everything like that. I do have a couple problems in the movie with some of Patrick Swayze's acting, with when he's trying to talk like, I'm just a piece of crap, lonely, you know, whatever, badly raised type thing, but somehow how he portrays it, and his, I don't know if he's trying to put some kind of accent on it, but there's a couple of times in the movie where it's almost like he's trying too hard to act when he's talking about himself to somebody.
Yeah,
And
some of these monologues he goes on where he's really very poor. It's very like, poor me, I'm such a victim.
Nobody's ever done anything like that for me before.
Yeah, but it's like I said, his delivery and stuff like that. I mean, it's still in a sense not a. I mean, he's not a young Patrick Swayze, but he still hadn't like all the way up to where he was. But I mean, he's getting there. But
he was a relatively new actor.
Yeah,
at this
it was
point.
still wasn't that great. Sometimes his acting, but everything else he does in the movie is spectacular. There's just a few scenes where he does his talking about himself, and
the like, they used me, I didn't use them stuff.
Yeah,
it's kind of a reach. I mean, the guy was having fun. I don't know. He really plays such a victim in this, and that kind of irks me.
Well, and the way he plays the victim is not that great either. I was just like, come on, just get back to the dancing, do your thing, whatever.
Jenny, what do you think? Do you agree with me, or?
No, I totally disagree with you.
You don't agree with me? So you think that he's being taken advantage of? That's why he's slept around so much, because these
rich women,
upper class, rich white women are taking advantage of this this poor man.
Poor, sexy, dancy guy.
Showering him with diamonds, as he says.
And money,
and I could be poor in no time. I'm being used. That's why I've hooked up with so many of other men's wives at this place.
I'm not saying he doesn't have agency and like that he's making these decisions, because he is deciding that, but he also does come from nothing, and he has nothing. Like, he says he needs this job, and he needs this job for next summer and the next summer. Like,
that stuff I get. I don't think that the entire concept or you know, of the class stuff is bad. I agree with you that him being sort of having to do what the Kellermans say and that kind of stuff because he needs the job, that's all fine with me. I was more bothered by the, you know, they're using me stuff. It's a bit of a lie.
Well, it's a little bit of a role reversal, because I mean, we're used to seeing that with women, like using women for sexual stuff, and
right,
you know, not that we need a male version of that, because God knows we don't, but I can see why they did that there. It is a bit of a role reversal from what we're used to seeing. Jason elegantly said they do the horizontal mambo. I think it's pretty obvious that she was fulfilled, because she goes to visit Johnny quite a few times in these last, 3 days? I think it's determined that there's 3 days left, and she's like all over Johnny all that time. chasing him around.
Dad won't talk to her.
Boy.
He knows what she's been up to. Well, with the abortion stuff, and she's like, "I'm gonna go down to play charades," and then she's just going to bang Patrick Swayze all afternoon. I mean, again, Dad is being a bonehead, dude. Like, you can't just let her go off to play charades. That's not what she's doing.
But I think that's what Jenny was bringing up earlier, is at this point he has learned that she's kind of not who he thought she was. And I think this is kind of his just sort of like detachment from what's happened. Because, I mean, initially we have the dinner where he says that he wants to leave early and everybody freaks out because they're paid up through Sunday.
And you get the big show on Sunday.
Yeah, and Lisa's in the big show. But I think it's sort of something like that. Like, he just sort of detaches from the situation. Yeah, I'm not saying he's being a bonehead father, but I think that's how he's handling it right now. Like, I don't think he really knows how to handle what's going on.
He can't tell her mom.
Well, right.
In his mind, like, it would kill her if she knew. So he has to take all this on himself. Maybe he's not used to being the parent who has to make the decisions about, like, what their children are doing on a daily basis. So if he says, like, no, you can't go do that,
but it does seem
his
like
wife is going to question that.
That's a great point, Jenny. Damn it. That's a good one. You got me on that one.
But the thing I like, him not telling the mom about what's going on and her probably banging Johnny. I like the line toward the end of the movie. He said, "I think she gets that from me." The mom, when she's up on stage dancing with Johnny, I was like, well, maybe mom is a little more relaxed than dad. She would have been okay with it.
That line was an inside joke in the movie, because Kelly Bishop was in some kind of musical dance number or something on Broadway, and it was just sort of, because she originally wasn't going to be playing Baby's mom. It was going to be another woman who was a dancer, and then Kelly Bishop, I think, either ad-libbed that line or they wrote it for her because of the context there. So.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you bring up the Loverboy dance scene, which honestly, like, I think that scene in this movie is more iconic than the last scene of the movie. Just them in that dance studio together, like, lusting over one another. Like, I think that's way sexier than anything else you've seen in this movie.
Very sexy.
You talking about the crawl?
Yeah,
it's
pretty sexy
scene,
stuff,
right? Loverboy scene. Crawl.
Yeah, where they're crawling across the floor.
Do you know that whole scene was ad-libbed?
Really?
Yep, it was worked out between Swayze and Gray during the whole thing. They said that was not even, they were just in there, and then they ad-libbed the whole thing. Yeah. They just took it on about it their own way.
And we brought up that they had been in Red Dawn together. That was one thing I think they saw, was the tension between the two of them gave them great chemistry. And then as they started working together in this, she got a little more trustworthy of Patrick Swayze and he of her, and they started working really well together throughout the shoot. But there was a lot, like, Patrick Swayze went through a lot on this because he had injured his knee and couldn't really do some of the dancing, but took it because they kind of needed him for it. But
apparently almost lost his leg.
Yeah.
He got a staph infection and it settled in his knee and he almost lost his leg.
And we kind of skipped over this whole scene where they go out to the woods and are dancing on the tree log and the water to practice the lift and everything. Apparently he fell and hurt his knee real bad on the log scene. And like they had to drain fluid from it and everything. Like it almost halted production on the whole movie.
Because he did all of his own stunts. But I'm glad you brought the tree scene up, because that's one problem I had, is you could totally tell that's not Jennifer Grey he's with on the log.
On the far shots?
Yeah, when
like
they're back where you can see them, you definitely tell it's not her. I was like, whoa.
I didn't even notice.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I guess with our newer ways to see things in Blu-ray and 4K, is like I was watching it, I was like, that is totally not Jennifer Grey.
Well, I mean, we would have known because we did watch the new Best Buy special edition Steelbook on 4K.
Josh is better than us.
It's that time of the podcast.
It's the segment of the show. Josh is better
but the case of this movie looks really good.
I mean, I have the VHS here, but yes, we did get the 4K.
It's all holographic and like it's just it looks really
Did
good.
it come with Dirty Dancing 2, Havana Nights?
No,
Stop
I did not.
it.
If I could go my entire life without seeing that movie, it'd be fine. I don't think I need to see that movie.
No.
Well, let's start talking about some taglines and quotes.
You're gonna need a bigger quote.
Okay, we had 3, which I would really only say 2 because they kind of ran a couple of them together. But the taglines for Dirty Dancing are "Have the time of your life," which is our big song from the movie.
Yep.
First dance, first love, the time of your life is the next one. And dancing to the beat of their hearts.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's so sweet.
That's sweet.
Pitter patter, pitter patter.
But that's
all right. Let's start throwing some quotes out there. Who wants to start?
Oh,
I'll go.
Go for it, buddy.
I like when her mom says, "Baby, stand up straight." And she's, yeah, and then I just have three weeks here. It'll feel like a year, which I already mentioned. That's it. That's all I've got.
Jason, you got anything?
When he's trying to teach her to dance with the heartbeat, and he keeps telling her 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. He says the steps aren't enough. Feel the music.
Yeah, that's good.
Then the quote that I was just talking about when Baby and Johnny are there together, and this is before they do their horizontal mambo.
And most of all, I'm scared of walking out of this room and never feeling the rest of my whole life the way I feel when I'm with you.
Damn it, man, that hits in the feels. Holy shit, yeah. That's really only, I mean, there's not a lot of quotes, I think, in this movie.
Oh, there are.
There are, for sure.
I mean, we got the big one, but I'm not saying that.
Yeah, but we've kind of been saving one. We've tiptoed around it a little bit. Jenny, go ahead.
So, I really like "I'd be standing here dead,"
Yeah.
which Kellerman says. I carried a watermelon.
I
Carried a watermelon. Good one.
It's great. My last one's the only quote.
Yeah, the biggest
You
quote of this
need-
whole movie.
For this movie.
I got a couple here. When they're learning, when he's teaching her how to dance, and explaining things to her. Actually, when they're out in the woods and they're trying to do the lift, they're trying to build trust, and he says, "You hurt me if you don't trust me." And then I never that line always sort of, I just glanced over it and didn't think anything of it. But it didn't really hit me until watching it this time. And then when they actually do the lift at the end and how that kind of comes full circle, it's like, oh, she trusts him now. It works for me. One of Patrick Swayze's tirades when they're talking about him, doing the right thing or whatever, but he's talking about the class divide. He says, "These people are rich and they're mean." Good line.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Hausman says at the beginning, "Our baby here is going to change the world." I like that one.
Is Jenny going to do the main line, the main quote? Or are you going to save it for the end of the movie?
We'll save it.
We'll save it.
Save it.
It's got its place.
Okay.
But
that's cool.
So this is where we get around to this whole stealing the wallet, all of that stuff, and Baby decides she's going to cover for Johnny. You're right, Eric. Again.
Thank you.
But yeah, there are plenty of other places she could have spilled her guts to not cause a scene or any of this stuff, but she picks this time. Now when things have gotten so out of hand that Johnny's going to lose his job or they think Johnny is a thief, to spill the beans right in front of everybody. Yeah, that's kind of not using your noggin too well. It kind of makes me think Baby's not going to change the world, but I
don't know.
But it's young love, young lust, whatever you want to call it. And the scene between her and her father and not even a conversation, the monologue she has to him, it also kind of hits you in the feels.
I like that scene because it's true. And you do kind of raise your kids trying to show them the best of things, or you know what I mean? And they do reach a point where they start to see all the gray areas and some of the darker sides of the world. And, you know, she's kind of realizing that she's been, you know, privileged up until this point. And, you know, she gets a lot of reminders from Johnny and stuff like that. Like, oh, you just told your dad, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
She's kind of realizing she didn't realize how privileged she was. And
her privilege really shows in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Right. And she's getting a real taste of, you know, kind of looking at herself again and kind of looking at her parents. And
the one time when I think Patrick Swayze comes across well when he's kind of giving his woe of me speeches throughout this is when he kind of confronts Baby and he goes, I don't think you ever had any intention of telling him that we were anything. And I think that is pretty good. And I like that he attempts to go talk to Dr. Hausman. Mm-hmm. And he's already made up his mind about this guy. And he's like, I like Swayze's response to that too. He's like, I see a guy who got his best friend in trouble. And he just says, you would see that. Like, yeah, like, but again, like they've had all these opportunities and I guess it's one of those things where it's like, they're trying to be honest, but no one wants to hear them. So what's the point? Because that's essentially what Johnny is doing. Like he's going to tell, spill the beans on whatever. And like, they've just made up their mind about him to where he just seems like what's the point,
And why should
Which I think a lot of people probably feel that way in like class divide sort of stuff,
They all go to the end of the summer party and send off, whatever.
Well, they find out that the shoemakers or whatever their name was have been stealing the money.
Yeah.
All that stuff. But that doesn't, even though Baby spills her guts, has the alibi for Johnny, it still doesn't help. He still gets fired. And, Baby's big thing is I did it for nothing.
But that's not the way that Johnny sees it.
Right. Nobody's ever done anything like that for me before.
I do like that part though, that it wasn't for nothing because it's about integrity, or you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to, but you do the right thing anyway, kind of stuff. So that's nice.
And I have to say, I'm happy that Lisa finds out about Robbie. I guess you would say the hard way, but like, I'm glad
Robbie
that
was hard, all right, with Vivian.
Right. Oh. I'm glad that she gets the information that she so much doesn't want to hear about, like,
before it's too late.
Because she's like planning their honeymoon.
Right.
Oh yeah, she's like, she's got everything. She's like, I haven't told him yet, but yeah, we're doing it tonight and all this stuff. So you're like, wow, she's planning it all out. But I mean, she should have known. I mean, come on, there's a towel on the doorknob.
She doesn't know. She's naive too.
I guess so. But
I never knew what that meant when I was obviously when I was a kid, I didn't know what any of this shit meant when I was a kid. But yeah, like it's so obvious there. And then this time I was like, oh shit, yeah, you shouldn't have walked in that room there, sweetheart.
When you get older and you have roommates, you put socks on the door or something. You let them know. But we did skip the one thing about Vivian. What they hooked up about Robbie being a dick. Remember, he's there. I guess Baby and Johnny were outside talking after she came to check on it, and Robbie comes walking from between the buildings, and he says, "Oh, I see you're slumming it up too," to Baby.
Yeah, I made a comment to Jenny when that
Johnny
happened.
starts beating his ass. I love that. I mean, we skipped it. I just wanted to bring that up. That it was awesome to see Johnny beat his ass.
Yeah, that was fun.
Even so much so to where he's just like, he gives him a hit. He's like, come on, hit me. Like,
yeah,
give me a reason to beat your ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a baller move right there.
That was.
Well, here's the thing, though, talking about Robbie and what a piece of shit he is.
I mean, he's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Is Robbie a rapist? I need to know, because
I didn't get that impression.
There's an implication that he has tried to go further than Lisa would like off on the golf course.
Oh, yeah, that one time where Johnny and Baby are out in the woods and they see Lisa and him walking by.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And just based on that little bit of information and the fact that we know what kind of person he is from running out on Penny.
Was Penny a victim of rape?
No, I don't think she was.
No, because she said that he loved her.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
I think he's just pushy,
he might
He's just
be a
pushy.
little bit of a date rapist.
He's towing the line. He's towing the
because the
line.
rape didn't actually happen. She did walk away, and she still was like, okay, so it didn't actually happen. He just might
I'm
have
just
been a
saying,
little pushy.
outside of the parameters of what we see in the movie, in this fictional world, I think Robbie might be a rapist.
It wouldn't be out of character for him to be
As
out
compared to Bob and La Bamba, no, he is not a rapist.
I mean, Bob's definitely a rapist.
Yeah,
Robbie's
I mean, maybe
just like maybe a rapist.
What's with these Robbies, Bobs?
where maybe Robbie becomes a rapist later in life.
Maybe. He does.
Well, he obviously doesn't get the right here. We're out there. Mr. Hausman goes up to him to give the recommendation or a check or something to him, and then Robbie spills the beans because I guess he thought he knew.
Yeah, like what? Why?
Dude, he just went.
You know you got away with all this at this point. Like, why the fuck would you say anything? This guy is a moron.
Because this is how
because
Dr.
he is a
Hausman
moron.
finds out that it's not Johnny's responsibility.
Robbie thinks he's untouchable.
Yeah.
I think that's just hubris. He thinks he's, because he's the upper class Harvard boy or Yale or whatever the hell.
Which would have made it all that much better if he would have been the one picking pockets throughout this entire movie. I rest my case.
It does not make sense to have him pick pockets, but he could have done something else to frame Johnny. Could have done something else to frame Johnny.
Actually,
other than
yeah,
picking
him and
pockets.
Vivian could have worked out a plan to fuck over Johnny.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's talk about this final scene of this movie. I mean, how do we feel about the closing dance number?
Well, before we get there,
before
I'm gonna
Johnny gets to the stage,
I have an issue that Johnny just walks in and disrupts this entire thing and gets away with it. Everyone stops what they're doing. He even gets to put a record on. But what's his name? Billy gets the record. Ready to go. Nobody's saying, hey, whoa, no, you can't just walk in here, you've been fired. This man just walks up. They're still singing. He walks up on the stage, takes them. I know it's a movie thing, but
go on your tirade, Eric.
It just drives me crazy that he gets to cue the music, everyone gets out of the way and just let him go. And I just, it doesn't make sense to me. If you're writing a movie, you can write in a way for them to get back in the show or
well, I think
whatever.
I think the idea is that this is such a high class place and he has pretty much barged his way onto the stage already. Like they don't want to cause a commotion and all. Like I don't have a hard time believing that they didn't have security that could have stopped him from getting on stage or something like that.
And he's got baby with him.
And he's got a guest that could be causing a problem with the situation as well.
All right, fine. I'll drop it.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, he's got baby on the stage. We can't rush the stage. Whoa, let's see what he has to say, and then we're gonna beat him profusely out back afterwards. So, but
and he has baby because the first thing he does
exactly
when he shows up is he goes over to their table and he says, "Nobody puts baby in a corner." Oh,
there it is.
Oh,
one of the biggest quotes in movie history. Right
the way
there.
her eyes are glistening when he walks up to the table, the way he looks at her, the way he says it to Mr. Hausman, like
Doctor
Hausman.
He didn't go to 8 years of medical school for you to call him Mr. Hausman, okay?
I mean, I cream my pants. I mean, it's pretty fucking sexy.
I mean, symbolically, he's putting her under the spotlight. She's always been kind of a wallflower.
Mm-hmm.
He's standing up to her dad, who she idolizes in the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is like an incredibly romantic moment.
Dude, the whole scene, and it's one of the most iconic whole scenes. From that point on to the dance starts to the dance ends, and it is the whole length of that song is movie history. I mean, there's lots of iconic scenes in movie history that could be just a few, but I mean, this thing lasts for the length of a song, and it is great from beginning to end. Get you energized, happy, great, hit you in the feels. Damn, you want to shed a tear a couple of times, and you're just like, holy crap.
I
What a
like
great
the
way to
way
end the movie.
The dancing is shot in this film too. We haven't really mentioned that, but
Oh man, it's
Yeah.
great.
I think it's really well directed, particularly the dance sequences.
Mhm.
You know, I really
And-
like when all the background dancers jump in to the dance.
Yeah, that was something that I think, like, here's a thing about, I think most people have issue with musicals or music driven movies or things of that nature, is what I hear a lot is, well, that wouldn't happen in real life. Like, people wouldn't just start dancing. And I've kind of always had that with this scene because the rest of the group comes in and starts dancing with him, but like, they're all on the same mindset and the same playing field. Like, they've been dancing together forever. Like, it would make sense for them to be like, this is our moment to shine, and join in with that. And like, yeah, like, it held a much bigger
Yeah, they're the
spot for me
people-
this time.
They're the people he parties with.
Yeah, they just
in the,
they
in
just
the
crashed
dance
the
orgy
party
room
They
on the
just-
weekends.
Yeah, they just
Right.
crashed the party. They all hung out together. They were
Which
backing
that
him
room-
up.
That room reminded me of Climax a little bit.
If you have not seen Climax, let's just call it Dirty Dancing on Acid. And I mean that in every sense of the way.
And it's a bad trip.
But that's what got me when I was 9 years old or whatever, watching it, and he finally lifts her. And like, I remember being a kid and be like, yeah, like, I was just so happy that they finally did the lift and shit. And I remember looking back at my mom and she goes like, see, told you.
And just the way that like her dress cascades and you know, her facial expressions doing it, she's so happy, so in love. It's really a beautiful scene. And then everybody else starts dancing too, and you know, they're together and he's, you know, singing her the words to the song.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
that is a
Because
nice
he's
scene.
had the time of his life. Oh my God.
I'll
Just
get you
like-
right
And
here.
he owes it all to
man, that
her.
hits you.
Oh.
Ooh. That gets you.
Yeah, it's good.
I do even.
But
I was go ahead. I was gonna say I even liked it when the old lady throws her fur off.
Oh,
It starts
amazing.
dancing. That
Yeah.
I love that. That was awesome.
And I like that you get closure with Baby's dad. Although when he says Baby's name, Francis Hausman,
Yeah.
he gets all pissed off and like wants to storm the stage. But at this point, he knows Robbie was the dad of Penny's aborted child.
I think it's just that
like,
he's up there causing a commotion and his daughter's with him, and you
Yeah.
know, like
He still doesn't. I'm guarantee he doesn't. He's just because the baby's not his. I don't think he's too thrilled with his 18-year-old daughter.
yeah,
You know,
Hanging out with a
hooking up
greaser?
this
Yeah.
24-year-old dancer guy who's like,
right.
you know, has arguably no future at this point.
One
Like
thing
he
that
wanted
they-
he wanted her to get with old Neil.
Neil.
You know, like
Yeah.
he wanted her to marry a rich boy and that kind of stuff.
Fuck that penis wrinkle, dude. I hate
Dude.
that. Oh my gosh.
he
What-
has 2 hotels.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. So how did you
Oh, that
pull
was
her?
brutal.
Because he has 2 hotels. Dude, that line irked the
What does he
shit out
have
of
that
me.
I don't have? Or,
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
God.
So bad.
I want to reach
kn-
through the TV and beat his ass.
Yeah, he makes me cringe. I hate everything that comes out of his mouth. Even when he interrupts them dancing upstairs, doing the crawling thing and stuff, and like, make sure you get your 2 hours worth or whatever. Like, God, he's just such a little piece of shit.
Yeah. But in the end, when Baby and Johnny meet up with her dad,
Mm-hmm.
he says, "You look wonderful out there." And it really is like Baby's transformation here is complete.
Yeah.
She has embraced her femininity
Mhm.
and she has become a woman.
Right.
And,
And
like
she's no
it's-
longer baby.
She's not Baby anymore.
Right.
She's Frances now.
Yeah. And
You know, so yeah, she's bloomed, if you
Yeah.
will.
And when he says to Johnny, "When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong."
Mhm.
Oh, that's.
But he didn't say he was wrong, did he?
No, he didn't.
Kind of danced around. He's like, when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong, and I'm not saying it.
He
Just telling you
danced
that.
around it.
Apparently, I overused that term.
So, do we think Francis and Johnny was just a summer fling, or do we want to believe that they lived happily ever after?
It's a summer fling.
Yeah, here's the thing.
I don't see them being a couple forever. Like, it just...
She's going to go off to school.
They learned from each other, and now they're going to go...
Not only that, when he's fired, they hug and say goodbye like they're never going to see each other again.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
It's not like, hey, here's my phone number, here's my address, write me a letter. Can we see each other again? She's like, bye-bye.
Yep.
And he comes back for the dance, great, but I assume he's just going to leave again. He's lost his job. Unless they loved that dance so much, they want to hire him back, but I doubt it. We don't get into that.
Well, even the Kellerman, when he's talking on the side of the stage, he's thinking this is going to be the end of all this anyway, because he says kids don't want to come and do this. They want to go to Europe and do this and this. So I think he even thinks that the little resort's going to be going out of business for too long anyway.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That is a weird
little side bit when they're talking on the side
like
stage.
I kind of like it, but it's like a weird detail because we don't really get much from Kellerman.
Yeah.
Like as far as like what Kellerman thinks about things, it's more just like he's the boss guy, but him like kind of waxing poetic about the kind of winding down of this era is kind of interesting. I don't know why it's there, but
one of my favorite things that they go to a few times in this movie that is just in the background, but it's the two kids that are always dancing on the dance floor, like the two little 13-year-olds.
They're great.
Yeah. I like that you see them multiple times throughout the movie.
Maybe Kellerman will learn from this performance where Johnny's dancing to a more contemporary music and doing a little more his creative style. Maybe he'll go, okay, well let's try to capture the youth with old Johnny here. Maybe he'll hire him back.
I was gonna say, do we think they hired him back for next summer?
No.
You caused a disturbance that year, buddy. You're out of here.
What you really
he was promptly arrested.
I was about to say, when he got outside, the authorities were already called. He was arrested to never see baby again. She finds out.
They're putting the handcuffs on him. He's talking to Francis. He's like, I had the time of my life, baby.
And
spends the rest of his life in prison.
And this is how the sequel happens, is because while he's in jail, she finds out she's pregnant and has a baby, and then he dies.
No, the sequel is baby breaking Johnny out of jail.
There you go.
Well, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Why?
Who wants to go first? Jenny, you want to go first?
Yes, because mine is short and sweet. So, what's good about this movie is everything. This movie
well thought out.
Holds up as well today as it did the first time I saw it. I get something new out of it every time I watch it. And this is one of the best movie soundtracks of all time.
It's a pretty great soundtrack. I can definitely agree.
Phenomenal.
I think the music's fantastic.
It's multi-platinum, won Grammys, everything for this thing.
Yep.
It's great.
Oscars.
It won some Oscars for best song and stuff like that.
The bad. Nothing.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't change anything about this movie.
The perfect film. This is a masterpiece.
I would not change anything about this movie. Ugly. I mean, Robbie really sucks.
Yeah.
He serves his purpose.
Right.
Because this movie's great.
I agree with you. Everything here has, I do think that there is some fat that could be cut away from the movie, but as far as...
This movie's toy. What are you talking about?
It could have been 10 minutes short.
Toy like a tiger. Toy.
Who wants to go next?
Let me go, and we should end it with the guy who basically just saw the whole movie for the first time.
That sounds like a plan.
But I'll go good. The memorable soundtrack. You can still jam these tunes today. along with anything else, and you know it's going to take you right back to when you first saw the movie. Bad, like I said, some of the little acting spots from Swayze, but that's just nitpicking. But the ugly is anybody related to Mr. Kellerman. The dick needs to be hit in the dick repeatedly with Robbie's dick that they ripped off and hit with the other dicks, because they're all dicks.
All right. So that got
very
dark.
graphic. Very graphic.
Good for me is the cast, the music, the location. She's Like the Wind, the song that Patrick Swayze sings, is when that plays in the movie is also a great time, when he's leaving and she thinks she's never going to see him again. I love that part, and the dance sequence in the dance studio. The bad is Neil is a penis in a suit, and I hate him.
Just say it, he's a dick in a suit.
And the Kellerman song at the end is awful.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
I hate it.
I forgot about that.
The ugly is Lisa's song at the end, because oh my God, I don't want to hear her sing that shit ever again.
That is also my ugly, I should mention, is Lisa's
dude.
song.
Oh God, it's
brutal.
It sounds like a bellowing cow in the middle of a pasture giving birth. I don't know what the fuck she's singing. It's horrible. Bad. Okay.
It is bad. Okay, so that's my ugly. My bad is some of the clunky social commentary stuff, like Johnny's poor me speeches get a little over the top for me. Even though I like that in the film, like the commentary. And then good is the palpable sexual tension.
Mm-hmm.
My Lord.
Yeah. Did you watch this with anybody, Eric, or did you watch it on your own?
I watched it with my wife, who loves this movie.
Is she glad you finally watched it?
She is.
Good.
And overall, I enjoyed it.
Would you watch it again?
Maybe one day. I never say I'll never watch it again, but I've got an incredibly long watch list. And I'm not going back to this one for a while because I've got so many movies to watch.
But if it was on TV and you flipped across it, would you watch it? Just
if you had the choice of watching this or Jaws 4: The Revenge, the greatest movie ever made, which one are you watching?
I would watch this, and
I'd watch RoboCop.
I like all the dance montage stuff. All the montage scenes are great. Great 80s montage.
And it like
candidate.
You brought up something about this movie, and we're talking about if Baby and Johnny were a thing after this. Like, I think that's why I like the movie La La Land so much.
Ugh.
Is because La La Land is kind of the same sort of thing up until the end. In the end, they give you this whole thing of like, no, this is how life actually works. And it kind of breaks your heart and
it does.
Runs you over a few times. And I like that we've gotten to a point in movie making where we're not afraid to show that part of the storytelling now. Because, you know, this movie ends and everything's all happy, hunky-dory. Like, you could have had Happily Ever After ending here with Baby and Johnny and never even known the difference. But I like that filmmakers are going down the line of exploring where something like this could have gone in a movie like La La Land. So I'm kind
of split on that. I like that sometimes, and then sometimes I like when something's just isolated and this is what we see.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you do just want a happy ending. Trust me. Like, there have been plenty of things I've watched.
We're watching what happens on this trip this summer.
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't get to see what else is there.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes that's great to get that, what happened, you know, how does it all play out at the end? You know, I love the end of 6 Feet Under.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite series endings.
Best series ending ever.
Yeah, for that reason, you get to see how everything turns out for everybody. And yeah.
So, rent it, buy it, forget it. Jenny?
I want you to buy this. Okay. And I just haven't gotten to say enough about this movie, I don't think. Like, this movie makes me want to dance. Like, for real to dance. I mean, it's joy. You've given me joy.
Grind us out
for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, you got to own this movie, in my opinion. It's definitely one of those that, indie flick, was way better than it had any right to be. Good actors, good story. That's kind of something I probably should have included in my bad, in the good, the bad, and the ugly, is there is a very compelling story here, and people don't, some people disregard this movie because it's dressed up in a way that they're not happy with or they're not into, when it's something like dancing or something that's girly or like a romantic thing. But I think there is a very good dramatic story here, just as good as anything you would see in Inception or like Inception has big ideas, but I'm still roped in to the drama and the story that's going on here as I would be with a movie like that. And
I don't know that a Nolan movie is a great example of drama.
We have to bring up Nolan.
They're
or
a little
Carpenter
cold
in every episode.
I mean, they're a little cold, is all I'm saying. His
Right.
movies, but I know what you're saying. This is more than just a girl movie that has a lot of dancing in it and sexy Swayze.
Right. Yeah. And I kind of wish people could see past that, but a lot of people aren't going to go past that surface level thing of it, especially with a cover like this where it's two people embracing and it's called Dirty Dancing. So I think this movie, being the juggernaut it is in pop culture, I still don't think it's respected as much as it probably should be.
Well, I mean, you asked me what movie was sexier, this or Ghost.
Right.
And this movie, far
Well,
above.
I think it was a specific scene. I think it was the cabin scene in this, or the ghost, or the pottery scene in Ghost. So I was like, those are that's highly regarded as one of the most romantic scenes in film history. So it's I see this movie having way better stuff than something like what you see in Ghost. So would you agree?
I concur.
Overall sexier.
Doctor?
Certainly.
Doctor.
I mean, I like sexy Ghost too, don't get me wrong. But
you like sexy ghosts? All like the Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
Did everybody do Rent, Buy, or Leave It, or whatever?
We were doing it.
We
but
were
not-
doing it, and then I got on a tangent.
Yeah.
So Eric and Jason have not done it yet. So
I'm
Jason,
gonna say Rent.
Okay.
I liked it, but
you don't feel the need to buy it now?
I have it on DVD.
Well, if you saw the Blu-ray in a pawn shop for $3, would you buy it? Would you upgrade?
Maybe.
Okay.
I might upgrade for $3.
Yeah.
I've bought far worse for $3.
if they had it on sale for 2 for $5, and it was he would get it.
You can drop that $18.99 for the 4K, boy. Whoa.
Yeah, that I'm not doing.
No. So
Jason?
I would say I could go rent or buy. I don't own the movie, but I do like
Make a
the movie.
decision.
Well, you can rent it or buy it, or you rent it and then just keep the tape.
What would you do? Rent it and steal it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna steal it. They all went out of business. I just kept it. Send me the late
Rent it
charges later.
on my account,
but
on my credit card.
Yeah, on your credit card. But the one I do would say buy it is definitely the soundtrack.
Yeah.
That is a must. That is
I'll agree
great
with.
soundtrack to this movie.
Although I'm not the biggest fan of the Time of My Life song because it's played so much.
Dude,
I don't think that, let's just put it this way, I don't think that's the best song on the soundtrack. I would rather listen to any other song than that one on the soundtrack.
Everybody needs to see the daggers coming out of Jenny's eyes toward Josh at this freaking moment. He's dead. He's sleeping outside with the dogs tonight.
We also need to comment on the fact
dogs don't sleep outside.
there are
That's right. Yeah, the
He'd be by himself.
They
we also
wouldn't
need
make
to
it through
comment
the
on
night.
the fact that there are synthesizers in this song, and synthesizers were not in production at the time of this movie. That this movie takes place, so this song is complete and utter bullshit.
Sure, yes. It's not period specific. Yeah.
But we're also watching a fictional film.
Yeah, it's kind of like, in the movie A Knight's Tale. Yeah, Queen was not around in the Dark Ages or whatever. So, but
all right, that's our conversation about Dirty Dancing. I'm very happy that we did this one and got it in the books because it's something I've definitely had lots of things to say, and I've had fun talking about it tonight. Little news for everyone. We're not doing the Wheel of Movies tonight because we're taking next week off. Got a little behind on some things. We're going to try and catch up a little bit, but we will be back with a movie of the week, first week of June, and we're starting our 90s in June. So we're going from the 80s to the 90s, and we're going to start talking about some 90s movies because I think we've only had one movie in the 90s so far that we've talked about on the movie of the week, which was Home Alone.
Yep.
Wow.
So everything else has been the 80s. I'm kind of eager to start talking about some 90s movies. So we're going to do basically all summer is going to be mostly 90s movies. We're going to throw a couple of other ones in there for you. And we've also got some things cooking in the background as well. Jenny and I may be doing a little couple of little TV episodes for everybody here in the near future, talking about some TV that we like. And just a few new things working in the background, and we'll fill you in on those as we get going. But we will not have a new show next week. We will be back the first week of June with a movie of the week for you, and we will be talking The Crow.
Yes. Very exciting.
So I loved this movie when I was younger. I know Jason loved this movie. We still love this movie.
I recently posted it on our page because we just had a anniversary date for that movie.
So we'll be kicking off talking about some 90s movies with The Crow. Starting that first week of June, and then we'll be talking 90s movies most of the summer. So you have that to look forward to. But until then, we will see you. Be kind.
Rewind!
Bye.
Bye. Get the fuck out.
Hold on, guys. It's over.
You've been listening to the VHS Files Podcast.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
If you like what you heard, please subscribe and drop us a rating and a review wherever you get your podcast.
It was fun.
Send your questions, comments, and movie suggestions to vhsfilespodcast@gmail.com.
You sick fucks, you've seen one too many movies.
Don't you blame the movies!
Follow us on all social media outlets at VHS Files Podcast.
Movies don't create psychos.
Check out our YouTube channel for more content.
Movies make psychos more creative.
Thanks for listening.
That was what stuck out to me when I saw this as a kid was the folding knife and dirty table. Folding knife, yeah.
Dirty knife.
Folding table and
Dirty knife.
Dirty knife and folding table.
Please excuse Josh. His mind is broke.
Wet pants, wet pants, wet pants, wet pants.
I also want to mention, I know this is the 60s and it goes hand in hand, but the food looks gross at this place.
It's mad.
Scatterball.